I think my patients lose more weight when they're actually lifting
Hmm.
than when they're running or bicycling or, elliptical, whatever. You burn more. So the
Mm.
more muscle mass you have, the more calories you're going to burn.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think another thing for people that are listening to look at the Overstood Human Podcast, unfiltered dialogue, real solutions, no labels. The Overstood Human Podcast exists to inspire people to live with strength, freedom, and a purpose in a world full of noise and division. We champion a life anchored in true health, strong family, personal sovereignty, and self discovery, inspiring our listeners to thrive beyond the confines of the design system. Our mission is to inspire you to break free from mediocrity, think independently, and live a life of meaning, resilience, and impact. There's obviously a lot of different bullet points, I guess, that you can check off, right? When you're trying to gauge, like, where am I at in this process of my midlife? And, do I check all the boxes? Or like you said, like some guys still feel good, but their numbers are low. I've always found that, like, out of all those checkpoints, I really find that, like, because again, this is something that I think most people enjoy, is sexual libido. When
Mhm.
I always feel like that's like a big, like, when that's gone
Mhm.
or really low, I think we have a problem, Houston. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's when we're running and we're starting to, like, burn out, right?
Hmm.
Because all the other things, energy, you're stressed out, right? Appetite, stress, work, whatever. I don't. Most people, midlife, they don't want to exercise, right? So it's hard to, like, check those bullet points off. But I feel like 99.9% of people that you talk to, I've never really spoken to somebody tell me that they don't, enjoy something of that nature when it comes to sexuality, right? And when
Right.
that's gone, I think that that's your body telling you, like, okay, like, you're on the last layer here, and
Mhm.
it's really code red. I believe,
Sure.
um, any male clients I have, like, I always try to tell them, be aware of this. Like, if you wake up during the night and you have to pee, like, if you're not somewhat erect, like, you're not hitting a deep state of REM sleep, your body's not producing HGH. That's always like a good key indicator of that things are flowing in a sense, and you're hitting some sort of a deep sleep when you're supposed to be recovering, rejuvenating, repairing, restoration, right? That's all signs of it, right? And I think you made a comment earlier about, women with sex, dryness, right, in there.
Mhm.
If that's not there, that's painful. That's obviously, an indicator, right? Like, as the male, the erection for the male, the female,
Mhm.
that aspect of it. So what do you think that both male and female, when they're seeing those signs, um, do you kind of, are you in alignment with that school of thought? Like, do you what you see in your practice? Like, am I completely off basis by saying that, or do you think that you see that as well on your end of the spectrum?
Absolutely. And you're right. Like that, for me, I get those labs routinely. And so I'm always monitoring. But if someone actually comes in and that's their chief complaint, that will take a man to the doctor. That will take a
Mm,
man to get their labs drawn, is when they can no longer perform,
yeah.
or they're having difficulty, or they can't stay erect, or they can't have an orgasm. Like they're like, oh, because
Yeah.
that's just how they're made. And women kind of, I think women probably just make excuse. And I have male patients that, their testosterone's low, but they don't want it high because their wife's like, yeah, whatever, I don't really, so they're like, well, what's the point? Like, I'm not gonna go and have super high testosterone and feel amazing. And my wife's like, yeah, forget it, I don't really feel like that. So uh
Hmm.
I actually truly think, like, in marriages and um you gotta keep that spark alive.
Hmm.
Marriage is a very it's a job, and you got to work at it every single day. And I would rather see couples coming in to see me to correct both of them, so
Yeah.
that I don't have one that's like, no, I don't really, I can't stand my husband, and the other one's chasing her around the house. So, like, it's one of those things, like, have them both come and do it if it's a problem for both of them. But for women, if it's painful, if they're having painful intercourse and they're dry and they don't really feel good, like, it takes more for a woman to go in and be seen.
Mhm.
We're going to come in and we're going to be seen because we're an emotional wreck, because we're not
Mm.
sleeping, because hot flashes, weight gain, like that's what's going to take us in.
Right.
The men, it's like, I can't perform. I got something's not right. Uh,
Mm.
but regardless, like going on bioidenticals, I change up the diet first, right? And we
Yeah.
can talk about like I have discussed with patients because it is overwhelming. You and I have talked about this, like, oh my gosh, the things that we need to change. If you think about all of it at one time, you're just not going to do any of it. So
Right.
I tell them, I'm like, do you have plastic cutting boards you're using?
Right.
Get rid of them. Like, get rid of your plastic cutting boards.
Yeah.
Are you using pans that have a bunch of chemicals? Like, get rid of your cookware. Get rid of those black, spatulas and
Yeah.
rubbery spatulas. Start with something simple like that. Get your clean your deodorant out. Get
Yeah.
something clean. Clean up. Get toothpaste that doesn't have any fluoride. Like, start doing those little things, and nail those down, and then it won't seem like such a big change. And those alone just might make all the difference, and you don't need to go on hormones. I mean, we can, if we can correct this, and women will naturally, like, we naturally decline in our hormones. But I have some patients, they're like, yeah, I hit menopause and like I had no symptoms. It was no big deal. That's amazing. Like,
Mhm.
that's awesome, right? It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
But there are some that are like, no, I really didn't have any symptoms.
Yeah.
I guess if I asked the husband, they'd probably say otherwise. But for the females, they're like, no, I mean, yeah, I mean, my period stopped. I wasn't emotional, and my weight's not changed. My energy's the same. My libido's the same. But that's few and far between.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and I think to add what you just said too, again, the bottled waters, so many people live on energy drinks, right? I go back to the caffeine and the energy drinks thing. Anything that's going to shoot up your cortisol like that synthetically first thing in the morning, and you're doing it multiple times a day, getting that hit. I mean, most people are getting that type of a hit 3 to 4 or 5 days times a day, you know. And that's taxing your adrenals. And if you're taxing your adrenals, you're taxing out all of your other major hormones. They're getting taxed out because the body's in fight or flight, and it all coincides. It's a domino effect when you do that. Um, so you hear that a lot. I mean, when I do intakes with people and I start to get to know about their patterns and habits, um, they're particularly more with men. There are a lot of those men that are like, I feel great, dude. Like, and then I get up, I do this, I go to, and then I'm like, all right, give me like a week of your food logs, and then I start looking at, you know, Monster energy drink, and then 3 to 4 or 5 cups of coffee with sugar, and like you don't feel good. You're just you're stimulated all day long, synthetically stimulated all day long. If I took that away from you, you're more than likely not even getting out of bed, let alone getting through the day, you know? Um, so we again, men, I think because we have this like, I'm okay, I can do it, And to your point, I think until a man is humbled and they can't perform sexually, or they can't keep an erection, that's when they become like fully, like completely like, okay, I'll become a student now. But
yeah,
until that happens, I'm fine. I'm fine. You just power through it.
for sure.
And that's what happens to a lot of men. It's pretty wild, just again being the age that I'm at, late 40s, for I'll be 48 next month, and it's like I have friends that I grew up with, and I see what their life is like, their quality of life, and how they feel when you talk to them, and it's just like it's not this shouldn't be normal, is what I'm getting at. It shouldn't be normal. We shouldn't accept this. But I think so many people chalk it up to life, right? It's like when you talk to somebody, um, you know, people who are married, right? Oh, the kids, the work, the this, the that. We don't have time for one another. We just kind of like, as a society, and even if you're not married and you're just, you're a workhorse, and like whatever it is, we come up with these they feel like excuses, right? To not look within and really like take the magnifying lens, put things under a microscope, and be like, okay, what's really going on here?
Hmm.
There's a lot of things we can do to make excuses for ourselves, to not hold ourselves accountable, and I truly believe that's where we go wrong with all this.
Mhm.
And I just come from the way of thinking, like, it doesn't have to be this way, and it doesn't have to get to that point where, again, you have to have that that moment of being humbled in a sense of like, oh wow, I really got to like change things. It doesn't have to be that way. If
Mhm.
you start to do, just take the right precautionary steps
Mhm.
into the later part of your life. And it's and this holds true too for your purpose. We've touched about this too so many times about your why.
Yeah,
There are way too many people out there working jobs that they absolutely despise and hate. And again, I've been coaching people since 1997, so I've seen so many people who were just that. They hate their jobs, they do all that, they retire, and then they end up doing nothing because they're so burnt out. And it's
sure.
like that's what you busted your
Yeah,
that's what this was all
they
about.
die
Just
right after retirement. They're just
yeah, to get to a point where you're just sitting on a couch and literally doing nothing because you're so burnt out from life, and that has taxed you. And it's those people that they don't look or act their age, like even if they're in their late 60s, early 70s, like they look and act way more aged than they should, you know and that's a problem, and it doesn't have to be that way, but for some reason our society chooses to accept that as normal, and it really shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. And that brings me to the next thing too. Again, we're talking about midlife crisis, menopause. How important is we talked about movement, we talked about things you can do, the food, cutting out things. Something as simple as your circadian rhythm, getting out into the morning sun.
yes,
How important is something like that connected to somebody that may be going through these changes?
yeah. I mean, it's critical, and I don't know why we call it vitamin D because it's not a vitamin; it's a hormone,
Hmm.
and we should call it hormone D. But it
Yeah.
regulates so many things: cholesterol, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. Our bodies are made to have vitamin D, to have sunshine. So even just 15 minutes in the early morning sun, get out there. Your everything's going to correct, right? All of your
Mhm.
hormones are going to get better. I test cortisol on my patients. I test morning cortisol on my patients at least once a year. Um, and when they're doing all the things that I'm asking them to do, they feel so much better. Their labs look fabulous. But
Right.
vitamin D, hormone D is critical in this whole scenario of us discussing hormones, menopause, manopause. It's vital. And if it's freezing cold where you're at, like have the sun coming through your window. You don't, like get something. I'm a
Mhm.
sun like I love the sun. If it's sunny outside, I want to be outside. I yearn for the sun. Uh, and we've been indoctrinated again that the sun is bad. Put on your sunscreen, put on your sunglasses where you can't even like process the vitamin D. So get out there. Don't lather up in sunscreen. Spend 15 minutes. Don't go fry yourself. But enjoy that. Your body needs that. It's like water for a plant. It's
Yeah.
so
Oh,
incredibly
totally.
important.
I'm glad you said that because I always say to people when they talk about avoiding the sun, I just ask them, when you go out in the sun, do you feel good or do you feel bad?
Yeah.
I've never heard somebody tell me that they feel bad when they step out into a blue sky with sun shining on them,
Yeah.
right? So that should be like your key indicator right there of like
Sure.
how crucial getting adequate sunlight. And to your point, you're not baking, you're not burning. Early morning sun, late evening sun,
Mhm.
um, but your diet is crucial too with how you're going to process the UV light. Um,
Absolutely.
and we've talked about this too before. When you have cholesterol, your body's producing cholesterol. When you're eating cholesterol, when you have that and you hit that sun, your body's then going to start producing vitamin D, right? It converts. So I think that's a key thing too. So many people are in this mindset too of, oh, I have hereditary high cholesterol. Get out in the sun more. If there's an abundance of cholesterol in your body, put it to use in a sense. If it's lying there dormant, that could become problematic. But there are things that you can do too, like that. The sun is just a natural. We all living things need it to live and survive. So the fact that they've brainwashed us into thinking that we need to fear the thing that we need
Hmm.
is insane.
Well,
It's
it makes sense when you know who they are. But yeah,
right,
it's,
right, right. Yeah, so, getting and again, 15, 20 minutes,
yeah.
not at 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's very important for people that live in cold climates. Your body is creating stores of vitamin D, and you can get through if you get enough adequate sunlight during the summer months, you can have enough storage within your cells and in your body to get you through those 5, 6, 7 months of long winter as well. But it's important on so many levels because again, the sunlight is going to stimulate hormones. Where it's back to the hormones, right? If we're sitting in front of screens all day, coming home in front of a television screen, eating like crap, no exercise, no sunlight, like what? It's not rocket science as to why maybe somebody is experiencing these types of symptoms in their 30s opposed to their 50s, right? Or you know, um, and for like the 27-year-old male who has testosterone of like an 80-year-old, like that's again, that's not normal, and this should not be accepted as a society in any way, shape, or form
Right,
at all.
right,
You know.
right.
Um, so I guess one other thing I want to touch on before we wrap this up, uh, and we touched on it a little bit, but it's the mental health aspect of it. I feel like we're talking about a lot of aesthetics, again the hormones, and again the hormones connect to the mental health. But what how important, I guess, is it, would you say, in your practice that you see with patients, mental health being tied to everything that we're talking about here today?
Oh, it's all connected. Uh,
Mm,
and truly, what you allow yourself to engage in, the music you listen to, the shows you watch, the social media you look at, the it's all our minds, our thoughts, our actions will have a direct correlation to how we feel. And so you got to get yourself exercising, get out in the sun, turn off the negativity because it's everywhere.
mhm,
It's everywhere. And I truly like, again, you kind of woke up, back in, 2000, 2000. I really was much more slow at waking up, and mine was really 2020 with this whole COVID thing. But
mm,
the rise in mental illness
yeah.
since the pandemic is
Mm,
insane. Like, I'll have patients tell me, they're trying to get an appointment with a therapist or whatever. It's a year wait. I mean, that's crazy. Like, that's how bad it is out there. And it's all planned. Like, right, we locked everybody in, we scared them,
yeah.
we created these antisocial children who literally sit and play war games and don't even know how to like interact. But it's huge. I mean, mental illness is on the rise. And then we teach children. I mean, you just go, gosh, this was so planned. And it's like they're intelligent in what they did. Like,
Mm,
in the indoctrination, teaching kids that they were born the wrong sex, teaching kids to, um, that they can change their sex, they can be a furry, they can do all these things. And really, all we're doing is we're telling these children that the way that they are is not good,
good.
that
Yeah.
they are not accepted and they're not loved, and they need to change, drastically change, irreversible change, to feel like they fit in, instead of just accepting them who they are, loving them who they are, and letting them know, like, these teenage years where your hormones are all over the place, like, it's very normal to feel like just weird and out of it. But we see younger and younger, and that we talked about this, the prescription drugs in young children
Mhm,
for depression, ADHD, obsessive compulsive, all of these things. We're drugging society to numb what emotions and feelings are very much a part of being human. And some are harder to process than others, but the depression and the suicidal ideation is through the roof. And it's
yeah.
younger and younger and younger, and that's on purpose.
Yeah. And I think I think it's safe to say, and for everybody to grasp this concept of that life is a fight. It's a constant fight. You have to fight for what you want. You
Mhm.
have to fight with what you want to experience, what you want to attain. You have to fight to block out the negativity, take in the light. Everything is a fight. Like you can't coast your way through life,
No. No.
because life will kick your ass if
Yeah.
you take that approach. You may not realize it until it's too late, but it will kick your ass
Yeah.
if you're too laxed about all of these variables in your life. It's a fight. It's a spiritual fight. It's a fight. You know what I mean? Like we have to have that spirit in us, that lion.
Yeah.
Uh, we have to be willing to do whatever it takes to get what we want, in the sense for our life, for the quality of life that we want to experience and live.
Mhm.
um and as I said earlier, like, father time is not waiting for any of us. So, you know, priorities change for people,
Mhm.
right? It's like, I look at myself, I became a father at 40 years old. Prior to that, I never thought, even though I was conscious about my health, I never thought about, like, when my time is up, in a sense, aging, right? And it's like, now that I'm a father, like, it's shifted priorities for me. Like, I was always so into health for the now, and I never really thought about it for the future. But now it's like I project into the future of all the things that I've been doing that I want to continue to do, because I want to live as long and with the quality to be able to see my son grow and have his own life. I don't want to miss any of it.
Mhm.
So, we can't. If you're somebody listening to this who doesn't have a family yet, and you're in that position, just, I wouldn't have believed it if somebody told me. But, there's something to be said, like, the every year that you have here on this planet, you acquire a little bit more wisdom each time.
Mhm.
So there's something to be said about listening to your elders, like, for wisdom, because, again, when you truly grasp the concept of time, it's a sobering thing.
Mhm.
And that's a lot of the things that happen in this midlife crisis type area, is this whole, like, again, the concept of time, how fast it goes, where does it go?
Mhm.
The days pass by, the weeks, the months, the years.
Mhm.
And I mean, I know you can relate to this as a parent. Like, you look back and you're like, wait, what? You were just 4, now you're 8. And then, like, it's like, wait, what? Like, where did time go? And it's
Right.
like, you've added 4 years on. That means I added another 4 years. And
Yeah.
it's sobering, so I saw that to say, like, you don't want to live your youth where you're abusing yourself, because then when you get to the point where you really want it, it's going to be too late,
Mhm.
in a sense. And for those of the people that have the family and have all that, but maybe you're just burnt out because of the life that they've been living, working a job that they completely despise,
Mhm.
maybe still living in a state, a city, a town, a home that they've lived in for 20, 30 years, and they're sick of it. There's no inspiration, but they just, oh, well, like, you just got to, that's life. I
Mhm.
know many people like that. And
Yeah.
it affects people on so many levels that approach life like that.
Yeah.
So I think, that's how I want to sign off on this today, is just to really, always remind yourself that life is a fight, and you're gonna have to make that choice every day of your life. Am I gonna get kicked over by it, or am I going to stand up and acquire all of the things that I feel that I need to have it unfold the way I think it should unfold?
Yeah. No one's going to be a better advocate for you than you. And so you have to make that choice, and it's not even an everyday choice, it's at every single moment in your life. We're always making choices. So trying to make the best choice for you, for your overall health, to continue as you get older, is critical. So yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. Well, guys, we want to thank you. Wherever you're listening to this, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or X, please make sure you click the subscription button, pass this along to your family and friends. Check us out on our lives as well. And we will see everybody on the next episode. And as always, Sarah, it's always a pleasure. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks again for joining us.
Take care.
Thank you for watching the Overstood Human Podcast. Be sure to join in next week. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Always consult with your physician before starting any exercise program or doing anything contained in this podcast.